Hey guys, I'm Jonathan, and this is a video on how to change a belt on my Can-Am 570 XMR. Just a little bit of background. This video is shot from the perspective of somebody who has no mechanical background at all. This is really the first time that I've ever worked with machinery. With everything that's slowed down here recently, I started working a little bit more on our cars, and when I got into ATV riding and broke a few things in my last trail ride, I definitely didn't want to take it to the shop, and so I kind of picked it up as a hobby. I've noticed there are a lot of videos out there that are really great on how to do this as well, but some of them have some implied methods that if you're not quite as familiar with tools and how things go together, may be a little bit challenging for you. So if you're super mechanically inclined, this may be a little frustrating for you. I probably will call things the wrong name or do things in a way that's probably not the most efficient, but definitely got the job done, and the quad is out there and riding again. So hopefully this will help you guys if you're interested. The problem that I was having, I went into some really deep mud, and we recovered the quad. But as soon as I got it back home into the garage, it was really jerking at slow RPM. So whenever I first hit the throttle, it was rocking really bad. And doing a little bit of research, I found out that that's usually because I smoked the belt. And I'll kind of walk you through that as I replace it. But here we go.
What's up, everybody? So I got my 570 in some pretty deep mud. More pictures to come. And I'm pretty sure I accidentally smoked the belt on the recovery process. So lots of fun. This is the first time I've really ever messed with the maintenance on a quad, so I figure I would shoot a quick video and show you guys what I have found based on some research on how to do this. So in order to get access to the clutch to get to the belt, you're gonna have to pull some plastics. This piece is going to come off, and to do so there is going to be a screw on the driver's side up here if yours isn't missing. And then if you go down underneath the fender well, you're gonna have to pull a couple of these rubber plastic rivets. So that's gonna pop one out here, and you're gonna pop one out here as well. And then if you go to the back, there will be one here as well. Right there as well. So these things can be a pain in the neck. I'll tell you, the best thing to do is to get the pliers that work with these well, but you can do it with a screwdriver if you want to. So the way these work is this piece right here pushes down into this plastic grommet piece, which expands the end here. And once it's expanded, it's stuck in there. So to remove it, you have to get up underneath this head and pull this piece out. So this can be done with a flathead screwdriver or a pair of needle nose pliers, but I have done some damage, you can see, trying to get some of these out. So it's probably best to use the tool that it comes with. So I'm gonna be pulling this plastic out. You can tell once you get all the rubber plastic grommets out, it actually connects, pops into there, so you can lift up and pull this piece out. And then there's a piece up here that connects as well. So I'm gonna be pulling this out and lifting it up and over the ignition to get to the clutch. So once you have the plastics off of the side, you're gonna see the case cover. And basically I just used a impact screw gun and just removed the top bolts. And then once you get them loose, they should just pull out. What's looking like it's gonna be really fun here is that there's actually 13 of these. And you can see there's 2 here, but then there's also several up underneath here. And so it's looking like this footrest may have to pop off if I can't fold the cover back enough to get access to it. So TBD on that. Okay guys, so it looks like I'm gonna have to take this footrest off after all to get to the clutch. So just give you a heads up on what has to happen here on the back left side. These are actually torque screws, so I'll have to take one off here, and there's actually 2 more here, and then one here that you'll have to take off. So I got all of these bolts out, both underneath here and here. I also realized you need to take this bolt out. It has a nut on the other side, so the easiest way to do this is I use a socket wrench on this side and then a crescent wrench. Just kind of wrap my hand around from this side to hold the nut on the back, and then I took this off as well. Cool, so we got the back fender well bolts out. So now I'm gonna actually get to the footrest itself. You're gonna see we're gonna take this guy, and this guy, and this guy out. All right, so we're moving to the front fender well. We already kind of got going when we originally started pulling off the side pieces, so we've got those two off. There's two more that need to be removed. So you got this guy here, and you just go up, you can see two of those there. And then the really tricky one, if you follow this shock and you go back underneath, there's one right here, so right above the upper arm that's got to get popped out. Okay, good deal. So I was able to pull the inner fender well off, so you can see it exposed this. It's very much like the back. I had a torque screw here and two torque screw here's that I had to pull off. So now that I've got these torque screws out, basically what's gonna happen is they're little plastic clips underneath this black bar. And I'm just gonna work these up a little bit, and it basically releases this front fender from the footrest. So if you can see, it just kind of pops out like this. So make sure that you got all your screws out, and this just kind of snaps out, just like that. So once you got the back off, it's just gonna have to finagle the fender well piece and the footrest. It's just all plastic, so it's just gonna slide out just like that. Cool, so I just got the new belt in, getting ready to install it. I just got a Gates G-Force belt I'm getting ready to put on here. After some reviews, it seems like it was gonna do pretty well. The trick to this, I actually just went down to the local hardware store and got a bolt to put into your secondary. It's pretty simple. There are some specifications online. I can post some information in the link, but basically this one slot is threaded and you thread this bolt in there, it releases, and you should be able to slip this belt right off. So I got the old belt off and inspected it. Definitely looks like there was a little bit of wear and tear on the sides. The damage you're gonna find is actually not on the rivets. It's actually gonna be on the sides of the belt. That's where you're gonna see it, and definitely smoked that last belt. So I just popped it off and put the new one on, and I'm going to just be reversing what I just did. I'm gonna be backing that bolt out of the threaded slot on the secondary, and then I'm gonna be rotating it around to make sure it's nice and tight. So once you back the bolt out of the threaded slot, you just wanna hand tighten this a little bit. And you can see that mine's getting tighter. You just want to make sure that it's nice and snug. So I'm just going to rotate this. You can see that the tension on it. You just want to check the tension, just like you would a car belt. And there you go. All right, so I have not put the plastics back on it, but I did finish the belt, and I did adjust the shifting linkage a little bit. That was the other problem that I was having. I might as well go ahead and do that while I was in here, before I clean everything up. I actually had to replace, see if you can see it, this plastic piece right here, that was broken on mine, so I replaced that. And then I also adjusted the shifting linkage. This wasn't quite matching the transmission, so I can do another video on that. But what you should see now is the elimination of the really jerky movements when you're trying to initially accelerate. That was how I knew the belt was smoked. It was just really rocky when I was trying to get going. I should have really smooth takeoff at low RPM, so let's see what we get. Smooth.
So what did I learn in the process? It definitely took me a lot longer than it probably would take other people. I just parked it for a couple of days in the garage and worked on it when I had time. Like I said, between everything else I had going on with work. But it's definitely possible, and I didn't have to pay any dealership fees. It's a little intimidating at first, but it's really just taking a bunch of plastics off, and it's really not a big deal. The other thing that I did learn that's going to save you guys a lot of time, remember I had showed you guys these little plastic rivets that go in. They're all over the Can-Am. This is really the longest piece. This is a piece that took me the longest time, I should say, was taking these bad boys off. So I went down to the local hardware store, and I actually got different version. It's very similar, but these actually have a Phillips head on the other end. So instead of having to get up underneath there with either the tool or pliers or a flathead screwdriver, you can actually, just like you're taking the bolts off, use your impact screw gun and just back these out with a screwdriver or a screw gun. And it makes life a whole lot easier. So that's it. Getting ready to go back on the trail. Hopefully I won't have to do that for a while. I provided links to the materials in the video below. So thanks, guys.